The power of crystal clear communication. The power of just good communication, even if, we can't quite, if we feel like the bar is a little too high to go for crystal clear, how about really good communication? The power of good communication. What does it look like? Why is it important? This is part of a series that I have built in part on a book called Be Useful, written by an author that some people really like and some people maybe aren't so sure about, the author being Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can't deny, though, the success he has achieved in his life, and this book is an attempt, I think, on his part to share some of the things and practices he used to achieve his success, both in bodybuilding and as a leader and in the movies and so forth. So tools for living, and you're certainly getting my take on it. Some of you have shared with me that you're really glad that I'm giving it the Wendy touch, because if you're either reading the book or listening to it, you might find it a little bit more than you want to take in. And yet, the tools that he shares, I think, are really very practical, very wise, very much what I see evidence of, clear evidence of, in our unity teachings, our unity principles, and our unity practices. And certainly this idea of clear communication. How do we do it? Why is it important? Now, in the book, he talks about it more from the standpoint of selling. More from the standpoint of selling. But I think that selling can have a not so nice taste in the mouth for some people. Some people don't like the idea of being sold something. And yet the truth of the matter is, if we take any of the maybe negative feeling or context we have around that word, the truth is we are all selling all different kinds of things all of the time. And at the heart of selling is effective communication. Effective communication. To me, that is the ability to enroll others in my vision, to enroll others in an idea I have, to enroll others in a plan that I have, and crystal clear communication. Effective, good communication is communication that reaches into the heart of the other in a genuine and authentic way with the desire to share something and then produce a certain kind of outcome. And so clear communication is about bringing people in to an idea or a product or a service or a belief that you have. It is effective in family dynamics. It is certainly effective in business. It's effective in education. It's effective, or ought to be effective, politically, to really be able to speak one's ideas clearly, to enroll one in a vision, and to do that, we need to connect. I was looking for some examples, some new kinds of examples to share with you. And I found just two. I found a lot, but just two that I want to share with you. And they both have to do with younger people. And this first one is about a young group of high school environmentalists living in California on the coast. And they became very concerned about their beaches being littered and messy, and they had an idea. And their idea was to create a product. Now, this is a group of high school kids, this was a few years ago, but they had an idea to create a product naturally based, and this product would be something that they would sell, and the money that they would get, they would use to engage the community in cleaning up the beaches. And so they created a product called Eco Wave Wax, a certain kind of wax for surfboards, very California, very, high school kind of environmentalist energy, and it became a successful business for them. But they had to enroll people not just in the product, right? But in what they were doing and why they were doing it and their story. Don't you find when you hear a genuinely inspiring story that it captures your attention? That you probably want to know more about the person or their motivation or what they're trying to do? Because with their story and with their genuineness, they are reaching into your heart, if you will, and you're making a connection. And they were able to sell this product, this idea, and do some good. Found another story. This story has a mixed ending. It started with a little girl by the name of Alex Scott, and when she was only 4 years old, she was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, which is a type of childhood cancer. And you can imagine all the kinds of treatments she had to go through and all of the pain and grief and angst her parents must have felt. And after one round of particular treatments and so forth, when she was let out of the hospital for a period of time, she was so grateful for the good care that she was able to receive and for some of the relief that she was feeling, that at a very young age, she was only like 4 or 5 at this point, she decided that she wanted to raise money for other children that had cancer so that there could be more research done. And so she created a lemonade stand. And for the entire summer was selling lemonade. And somehow, through social media and so forth, the idea of what she was doing spread and spread and spread. And she got global attention to this lemonade stand because of what it was that she was speaking about. She had a vision. It's one of the things we've talked about, right? She put forth the time and the effort. She was thinking big, 4, 5, 6-year-old wanting to help find the cure for cancer or fund the cure for cancer. Would you not say that's big thinking? I think that's big thinking from a real heart, from real genuineness, from really being able to communicate simply what it was she was all about. That summer, she raised $2,000 just from her little stand. And though she died a few years after doing all of this work, her work gained such attention and such widespread support that the seed of her work grew into Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, which has now raised millions of dollars to help try to find a cure for cancer. Give her an applause. Both of these, the group of high school students, little Alex, were selling, weren't they? They weren't selling, well, I guess the high school kids were selling a product, but were they really selling a product? The product was the means to an end, which was try to clean up their beaches in an environmentally safe way and enrolling community. Little Alex was selling lemonade, but was she really selling lemonade? No, she was trying to sell a vision of could we work together and be able to find a way to cure this kind of cancer. So the ability to enroll others in our vision, whatever your vision may be, it may be a vision in the classroom, it may be a vision for a certain kind of business, it may be a vision because you're very socially engaged and active in world issues or state issues. Being able to enroll people in your vision is essential to success, and to enroll them in your vision requires getting better and better at communicating. No matter where you are in your life, and I imagine if you're sitting in this room or tuning into the broadcast, you already have spent a fair amount of time in personal growth work, haven't you? In the practices of unity that help you to be a better person, to be more mindful, to be more present. So the idea of growth and improvement is not something new to you. And what if we commit ourselves to continuing to build on the skills that we already have, to be even better at communicating than we already are? A teacher is selling her message to her classroom students, isn't she? Think of the best teachers you've had. Does 1 or 2 come to mind? I bet they do. I bet those teachers were passionate about whatever it is they were teaching you, and they found a way to reach you, to make it what? Interesting to you. They engaged you so you wanted to do what? You wanted to learn. You wanted to learn. An activist is selling a vision for a better world, a more equitable world, a more peaceful world. In order to do that, I believe, my opinion, it ought not to be done out of anger and fighting against, but being so clear on what you are for that the energy and the communication on the vision of what you are for becomes so compelling that people want to step into that with you instead of fighting against being for. A doctor, a good, effective doctor, is selling a path to your health and well-being, right? They better pay attention to what it is that's going on inside of your body and your life as well before they start to diagnose and then prescribe. But they're trying to sell you usually a change in lifestyle, I bet. Right? And let's be honest. How easy do we find changes in lifestyle? The doctor says your cholesterol's too high and you need to, either go on this medication or do this thing with your diet, right? It seems easier to just go on the medication than to go, a lifestyle change? You mean I can't have this or I can't do that? An effective doctor will try to really engage you and connect with you through communication, a path that they believe is going to be for your physical health and your well-being. Anybody who's ever applied for a job, right? What are we doing when we are applying for a job? Boy, we're very quiet. It's okay. We're trying to sell ourselves, right? We're trying to say, here's the value that I bring to your company, to your organization. But in order to do that effectively, that interviewee had better know something, a lot of something, about that particular company, about that particular field, right? So that they can do what? So they can connect with that company, so they can connect with what that organization may need. The connection being what the need is and what they have to contribute to that. We're successful or not to the degree that we're able to enroll others in our thing, whatever our thing may be. Even on an interpersonal relationship. You want to go see a movie with a friend. They're not so sure they want to go see that movie. What are you trying to do? You're trying to enroll them in it, to tell them why you think they might enjoy that, right? You're trying to find a place usually of connection, of commonality, of shared interest. These, I think, are some of the soft but deep skills of effective communication. How do I connect with that person, and not in a manipulative way? Human beings are wired, I think, to be very aware and to be quite smart, even if we don't know how we got the smartness. And what I mean by that is I think most people can really sense whether someone's just selling them something in a manipulative way, or is selling them something in a very genuine way. Would you not agree? Don't you know when somebody is really coming at you, not with your best interest at heart, but with their best interest at heart? You may not even be able to put your finger on exactly what it is they are doing, but somehow you just sense, something doesn't seem right here. Nod your head if you know what I'm talking about here, right? We're successful or not to the degree that we're able to enroll others in our thing, whatever our thing is. And so we need to be able to connect. We need to be able to find common ground, meaning what it is that they may need that we have that we can offer. But in addition to that, I think we have to come from a place of genuinely believing in what it is that we are offering. One of the most pivotal turning points, that's redundant, isn't it? One of the most pivotal times in my life, in my ministerial career, came pretty early on when I was really still struggling with feeling so nervous giving a talk. I was seemingly always blessed. I didn't look nervous. It wasn't like I was shaking and my voice was cracking. And because I was always prepared, I had, in my mind, and then I had some notes I could glance down on. So I didn't look nervous. But when you feel it inside, it's not a very comfortable feeling, and you get in your own way of communicating. And I used to look at others that seemed to do such a great job. And I tried for a while to be like them. Can you imagine me trying to be like Michael Bernard Beckwith, if you've seen? Or Christian Sorensen, who I love and adore. Hi, Christian. He's in his own service. He's not watching me. Dynamic, powerful, moving all over the stage, a completely different energy than me. I can't do that. I can't do that. But the turning point was when I said, you know what? It's not about how I look up here. It's not about hand movements. It's not about whether I start with a joke and I remember the punchline. It's about, do I really believe in what it is I'm saying? Do I really believe that these principles, these practices, when applied and used consistently, can really help someone change their life? Do I really believe that not only when people learn these things and practice these things, not only will their life change, but we can help to change the world? When that became so clear to me, yes, I do believe that. I still do. All of the nervousness went away. All of it. So I share that because Schwarzenegger actually says this in the book. The very first person we have to sell on an idea is ourselves. Think about that for a moment. The most effective teachers, the most effective salespeople, the most effective ministers, the most effective activists are people who really do believe in what it is they are trying to share with you. And they're coming from a place of the heart. So I'm not sure it's even necessarily about perfect skill or being really, really concise. I think that can help. But I think it really comes from a genuine desire to make a difference and help the other person, whether it is through a product we are selling, a vision we have, a plan we have, a classroom lesson we're preparing. The thing doesn't matter. What matters is our belief in it and the quality of it to make a difference in somebody else's life. When we reach people, we can teach them. I think the reason Jesus was so effective in teaching is because he reached people. I don't think the church today is doing a very good job of reaching people. I think the church is, you can clap to that. I think the church is doing a lot to polarize our country. You've heard me talk about my genuine concern about Christian nationalism, very concerned about that. But Jesus is not the church. I think he'd be pretty darn angry if he came back and heard what's done in his name. I'm digressing here. He was able to teach people because he could reach them. And he reached them where they were. Gandhi was successful because he was able to reach into the heart of the challenged, suffering, marginalized Indian people and paint a picture for them of a better life. He could teach them a different way of thinking about themselves. He could even reach the British and eventually cause the British to leave as friends and allow India to have her independence, because he was even able to reach them. And the way that he reached them with satyagraha, with ahimsa, with nonviolence, went right to their heart. It took time. It took time. But when we can reach someone, then we can effectively teach. When we can reach someone and we're genuine in the product, if it's a product, will increase our ability to sell that product. So it's about communicating. It's about sharing. Think if Gandhi or King or the Buddha or Jesus had at their disposal, what we have at our disposal today, to share good news, to sell good news, to share tools and principles that can help people live a better life. If they had had what we have today, do you think they would use it? Oh, come on. Of course they would, because they were heaven-bent on changing the world. We have the means to do that ourselves. When you were singing the song, say it out loud, say what's on your mind. I was thinking, we need people of high consciousness to say it, to speak the world into existence that we want to see. That's a fundamental metaphysics 101, right? Absolutely, absolutely. When selling an idea or a vision, it's about teaching and reaching, and from a place of authenticity. You have to believe in what you stand for and what you care about. You have to know what it is that you are trying to sell, and you have to know who it is you are trying to sell to. In sales, they say you've got to know your customer, right? In public speaking, they say you have to know your audience. And you have to meet them where they are. Meet them where they are. Do you know, in part, that's why we have 4 Gospels? Do you know those 4 Gospels were written for 4 different audiences in mind? It is why they don't share one of the reasons why they don't all share the same stories. Why, if you read each of them separately, you'll get a kind of different sense of who this guy Jesus was. You have the Jews who were steeped in their scriptures, steeped in their prophecies, and you have the Gospel of Matthew that really was written to speak to the Jews, to uphold or to find connecting points with scriptures and prophecies. You have the Romans who were all about leadership and power and control. So you have Mark, a gospel that really gives you these powerful miracle stories in a way that the others don't. You have the Greeks who loved beauty and truth and culture and ideas. And you have Luke writing to that kind of cultural mindset. And then you have the Gospel of John that is looked at as much more of a universal gospel, a more mystical gospel. It doesn't even have the Christmas story, the nativity story in it at all. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So why? The answer to the why is to reach different audiences. To reach different audiences. We are not all exactly the same. Have you noticed that? We all hear through the lens of our own life experience, and we see through the lens of our own life experience. I often am interested and sometimes amused at how people will reflect back to me what they heard me say in a Sunday talk. And then somebody else will reflect back to me what they heard in that same talk, but it's not at all the same. Why? There's kind of one message going out, but there's many different ears listening, many different life experiences listening. This is also why we can hear a parable. We can read the Sermon on the Mount. We can read teachings in the Bhagavad Gita. We can read teachings in the Quran. We can read teachings in the Upanishads. And we read them, and at one point in our life, they land on us in a certain way, and we take a certain something from them. And at other points in our lives, we come and read that same verse or that same parable or that same story, and we find, oh my gosh, it has a completely different message for me today. Why? Not because the sender is different, but because we are different. So wrapping this all up, in the idea of communicating, in the idea of getting better and better at that, remembering that no matter what the thing is, whether it is landing a new job, whether it is reaching your students in a classroom, whether it is selling a product, whether it is trying to get venture capitalists to fund a business idea you have. It doesn't matter what the thing is. When you genuinely feel that it is a good thing, when you can find how to connect with the person that is going to be on the receiving end or the buying end or the agreeing end of that thing, when you can find a way to connect with them, what it is that they really need, where are they coming from? When you can find those pieces, you will find your rate of success going sky high. And when you're about offering something that can heal a hurt, can fix a problem, can lift a child's spirits, can help, somebody to live a healthier life, you are about doing your part of transforming the world with love. So wherever you are, be willing to take another step forward in getting just a little bit better at what you're already probably quite good at. Namaste.